King Charles stood before the world, his voice steady, his gaze unwavering, and dropped a bombshell that left the royal family reeling. The next heir to the British throne isn't who you think. This isn't just a succession announcement, it's a seismic shift that sparked whispers of betrayal, secret deals, and a monarchy on the brink of chaos. What did Charles say, and why is the House of Windsor in shock? Stick with me because this is a story you won't believe. Let's dive into the moment that changed everything. On a crisp morning in Buckingham Palace, King Charles III addressed a tightly packed room of dignitaries, journalists, and royal insiders. The occasion? A rare public statement on the future of the monarchy. Expectations were high but predictable. Most assumed he'd reaffirm Prince William as his successor, the Prince of Wales, who's been groomed for the throne his entire life. But Charles had other plans. With cameras rolling and the world watching, he declared that the line of succession would take an unprecedented turn. His chosen heir, not William, not even a direct descendant. The name he uttered sent gasps through the room and set social media ablaze. To understand why this decision is so shocking, we need to backtrack. The British monarchy operates on a strict system of primogeniture. Traditionally, the crown passes to the eldest male child, though since 2013, gender no longer matters. Prince William, Charles's eldest son, has been the heir apparent since Queen Elizabeth II's death in 2022. His position seemed unassailable. He's spent decades preparing, from military service to charity work to public appearances alongside his wife, Catherine. The public loves him, or at least they did until this bombshell. So why would Charles bypass him? And who could possibly take his place? The answer lies in a web of royal politics, personal grievances, and a king determined to leave his mark. Let's start with the name Charles announced, Princess Beatrice, his niece, daughter of Prince Andrew. Yes, you heard that right. Beatrice, ninth in line to the throne, a non-working royal with a career in business, is now poised to leapfrog William, Harry, and even her own father. This isn't just unconventional, it's unheard of. The monarchy hasn't seen a succession shakeup like this since Edward VIII abdicated in 1936. But Charles didn't make this call on a whim. There's a strategy here, and it's rooted in tensions that have been simmering for years. First, let's talk about William. On the surface, he's the perfect heir, polished, dutiful, and popular. But behind closed doors, sources close to the palace say Charles and William have clashed repeatedly. William's vision for a slimmed-down monarchy, fewer working royals, less pomp, rubbed Charles the wrong way. Charles, who waited 73 years to wear the crown, wants a grand traditional monarchy to cement his legacy. William's push for modernization, including cutting costs and reducing the number of royals on the payroll, felt like a direct challenge to Charles's authority. Insiders claim Charles saw William's reforms as disrespectful, almost as if his son was trying to overshadow him before his reign even peaked. Then there's the issue of loyalty. Charles has always been sensitive about his place in the family. After all, he spent decades in Queen Elizabeth's shadow, often criticized as a less charismatic figure than his mother or his sons. William's soaring popularity, especially after his handling of family scandals like Harry and Meghan's departure, reportedly stung Charles. Some palace aides whisper that Charles fears William could outshine him as king, stealing the spotlight from his own reign. By choosing Beatrice, Charles isn't just sidelining William, he's asserting control, reminding everyone who holds the crown. But why Beatrice? She's not an obvious choice. Unlike William or Harry, she's never been a full-time working royal. She's 36, married to Edoardo Mapelli Mozzi, and works in tech. She's kept a low profile, avoiding the scandals that plagued her father, Prince Andrew, over his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. That's part of her appeal. Beatrice is a blank slate. No major controversies, no public feuds. Charles sees her as a safe bet. Someone who can unify the family without the baggage of Harry's rebellion or William's ambition. Plus, her loyalty to the crown is unquestioned. She's quietly supported Charles's initiatives, from environmental causes to youth programs, earning his trust. There's also a deeper, more personal reason. Charles and Beatrice share a bond that goes back years. When Andrew's scandals threatened to sink the York family, Charles stepped in, ensuring Beatrice and her sister Eugenie weren't cast out of royal circles. He's been a mentor to Beatrice, guiding her through the chaos of her father's downfall. Some say Charles sees her as a daughter he never had, a loyal ally who won't challenge his vision. By elevating her, he's rewarding that loyalty and sending a message. The monarchy bends to his will, not tradition. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. How is this even legal? The line of succession is governed by centuries-old laws, including the Act of Settlement 1701 and the Succession to the Crown Act 2013. Technically, Charles can't just pick his heir like he's casting a reality show. The crown passes automatically to the next in line unless Parliament intervenes or the heir abdicates. So how does Charles plan to pull this off? The answer lies in a bold, risky maneuver. He's lobbying Parliament to amend the succession laws. Sources say he's been meeting with senior MPs and legal advisors to draft a proposal that would allow the monarch to designate an heir under exceptional circumstances. It's a long shot, but Charles is banking on his influence and public support to sway lawmakers. The reaction from the royal family has been nothing short of explosive. William, predictably, is furious. Insiders say he feels betrayed, not just as a son, but as a future king who's dedicated his life to the role. He's reportedly confronted Charles demanding answers, but the king has stonewalled him. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, is said to be equally stunned, worried about the impact on their children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, who could lose their place in the line. The Waleses have retreated to Kensington Palace, keeping a low profile while they process the news. Harry, on the other hand, is an enigma. Living in California with Meghan, he's been estranged from the family since 2020. Some speculate he's quietly pleased, seeing Charles's move as a rebuke to William, with whom he's had a bitter feud. Others say Harry's outraged, believing Beatrice's elevation undermines the entire system he once fought to reform. Meghan, ever vocal, is reportedly planning a tell-all interview to weigh in, which could pour more fuel on the fire. Meanwhile, Prince Andrew is over the moon. Beatrice's rise restores some of his tarnished prestige, even if he's still persona non grata at the palace. The public's response is just as divided. On X, posts are flying, with hashtags like #Beatrice for Queen and #Save William trending. Some Brits applaud Charles for shaking up a stale institution, praising Beatrice as a fresh face. Others call it a power grab, accusing Charles of undermining democracy. Polls show William still commands overwhelming support, with 68% of Britons saying he should remain the heir, compared to just 12% for Beatrice. The tabloids are having a field day, with headlines screaming King's betrayal and royal coup. Even international media, from CNN to Al Jazeera, are dissecting the drama, with some calling it the biggest royal scandal since Diana's death. So what's driving Charles to take such a gamble? Beyond family tensions, there's a broader context. The monarchy's relevance has been under scrutiny for years. Republican movements in the UK and Commonwealth nations like Australia are gaining traction, arguing the crown is an outdated relic. Charles knows his reign is short. At 76, he's the oldest king to ascend the throne. He's desperate to secure the monarchy's future, and he believes Beatrice, with her modern outlook and clean record, can appeal to younger generations. William's traditional approach, while popular, might not be bold enough to counter the growing anti-royal sentiment. There's also a geopolitical angle. The Commonwealth, a 56-nation bloc tied to the British crown, is fraying. Countries like Jamaica and Barbados have already moved to ditch the monarchy. Charles sees Beatrice as a potential bridge to these nations, many of which want a less stuffy, more relatable royal family. Her work in international business and charity could help rebuild ties, or so Charles hopes. It's a risky bet, alienating. William could destabilize the monarchy more than any Republican campaign. Let's not forget the historical parallels. Monarchs have tried to control succession before, often with disastrous results. Henry VIII's obsession with a male heir led to religious upheaval and executions. George III's disputes with his son sparked regency crises. Charles's move could backfire spectacularly, splitting the royal family and eroding public trust. If Parliament rejects his proposal, he risks looking like a king out of touch, clinging to power at the expense of stability. Even if he succeeds, Beatrice faces an uphill battle. She's never been tested in the public eye like William or Harry. and the pressure of being heir could expose her to relentless scrutiny. What happens next? That depends on Parliament, the public, and the royal family's ability to close ranks. Charles is moving fast, with plans for a public campaign to sell Beatrice as the monarchy's future. He's already scheduled her for high-profile engagements, from climate summits to Commonwealth tours, to boost her visibility. William, meanwhile, is rallying his allies, both in the palace and the press. There's talk of a counter-campaign to pressure Charles into reversing course. The Queen Consort, Camilla, is caught in the middle, publicly supporting Charles but privately urging him to reconcile with William to avoid a full-blown crisis. One thing's clear: the monarchy hasn't been this divided since the abdication. Crisis of 1936. Back then, Edward VIII's choice to marry Wallis Simpson tore the Windsors apart, forcing his brother, George VI, to take the throne. This time, the stakes are even higher. The world is watching, not just through newspapers but on X, TikTok, and YouTube, where every move is dissected in real time. Charles's decision could redefine the monarchy or destroy it. As the dust settles, one question lingers: did Charles act out of strength or desperation? Is he a visionary king reshaping an ancient institution, or a man so consumed by his own legacy that he's willing to fracture his family? The answer might lie in what Beatrice does next. She's stayed silent so far, but sources say she's preparing a statement that could change everything. What will she say, and how will it tip the scales in this royal showdown? The throne is no longer just a seat. It's a battlefield, and the war has just begun.